Hirap sabihin na there was a moment of realization
Being a tennis player, you learn to fail a lot.
Of course, it's never a good feeling to finish a match like that. I hope everything's okay with her because, it was a really tough battle.
Shameless Thai official humiliates Alex Eala after a historic win, while an Emirates scandal rocks the tennis world. Welcome back to Champions Tennisics, where we deliver the raw, unfiltered truth that the tennis establishment desperately wants to keep hidden. If you thought the on-court drama was intense, get ready, what we're about to reveal will blow your mind. Today, we expose a story so explosive and outrageous that it has sent shockwaves through the global tennis community, leaving millions of Filipino fans outraged. This involves a historic, generation-defining victory that was immediately tainted by one of the most disrespectful and classless comments ever made by a sports official. And just when it seems it couldn't get any worse, a corporate scandal emerges, involving inappropriate behavior and alleged misconduct, further shaking the world of tennis. Harassment has erupted, threatening to tarnish one of the world's most prestigious airline brands, turning what began as sports news into a cultural earthquake. At the epicenter stands 20-year-old Alexandrum Go Eala, facing battles no athlete or anyone her age should ever have to endure. December 2025, Bangkok, Thailand. The 33rd Southeast Asian Games at the National Tennis Development Center, packed with screaming fans, thick tropical humidity, and electric anticipation. This wasn't just another match, it was history in the making. On one side, Thailand's hometown hero Manangka Sawini carried the weight of a nation's expectations. On the other, Eala, a battle-hardened WTA veteran and graduate of the Rafa Nadal Academy, embodied the pride of the Philippines. For 26 years, Filipino women's singles tennis had been shut out of SEA Games Gold, a generational curse that Eala was poised to break. When the final ball was struck, Eala didn't just win, she demolished the competition 6-1, 6-2, with every forehand, backhand, and ace asserting her dominance. Filipino fans erupted in unrestrained joy, social media exploded, and the national anthem rang out in celebration. Yet, what should have been a story of triumph was instantly overshadowed. While the stadium still buzzed with elation, reports surfaced of a comment from a sports official so disrespectful it transformed a historic victory into an international scandal, sending shockwaves across the tennis world and leaving millions in disbelief. Porciakuram, the president of the Tennis Association of Thailand, a man who should have been graciously congratulating both athletes for an incredible tournament, allegedly made a statement so tone-deaf, condescending, and contemptuous that it instantly ignited a firestorm of controversy. The reported comment, "just a victory from a kid from a poor country," was only 11 words, yet it managed to disrespect not just Alexandrum Go Eala, her achievement, but an entire nation of 115 million people. The remark's offensiveness is clear. Framing Eala's historic accomplishment as just a victory dismisses years of sacrifice, countless hours of training under the Spanish sun at the Rafa Nadal Academy, and an unbreakable determination to succeed against all odds. This was the first time in over 26 years that a Filipino woman had stood atop the SEA Games podium with gold around her neck, yet the comment reduces that milestone to insignificance. The phrase, "kid from a poor country," crosses the line from dismissive to genuinely insulting, implying that Eala's triumph is somehow less legitimate because of her nationality or background, an implication that is not only factually baseless but deeply offensive to anyone with even a shred of emotional intelligence. The implication of Porciakuram's comment was painfully clear. That Eala's victory was somehow a matter of luck, that Thailand didn't really lose to a better player, and that she was somehow a beneficiary of circumstance. It was the ultimate sore loser excuse, cloaked in diplomatic language but transparent in its bitterness. Even more glaring was the barely concealed classism and elitism embedded in his words, the suggestion that coming from a developing nation somehow makes achievements less valid, that poverty and struggle disqualify someone from greatness rather than forging the qualities that make greatness possible. The reaction was swift, fierce, and absolutely unforgiving. Filipino fans, renowned worldwide for their passionate support and highly organized presence on social media, mobilized within hours, flooding Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and every other platform with condemnations. Hashtags like #RespectEala and #ProudFilipino trended not just across Southeast Asia, but globally. Celebrities, politicians, and ordinary citizens united in outrage. This was no longer just about tennis, it had become a matter of national pride and dignity, a refusal to accept disrespect from anyone, regardless of their position or influence. The message was clear and unified. You can try to diminish us, You can try to belittle our achievements, but we will not be silent. We will defend our champions with unwavering loyalty and voice our outrage to the world. International tennis fans, who had no personal stake in the controversy, also condemned Porciacorum's comment, recognizing it as a classless attempt to excuse a humiliating home defeat by attacking the victor's heritage. Former tennis professionals weighed in, emphasizing that such remarks have no place in modern sport and that true competition demands respect for one's opponent, even in defeat. But the story becomes even more infuriating when you consider those who watched the final live. Eala wasn't just battling her opponent that day, she was battling the entire system, seemingly fighting against systematic bias in officiating. Reports of questionable line calls were rampant, with balls clearly out being called in, extending rallies unfairly, and balls that barely touched the line called out, costing Eala points she had rightfully earned. The chair umpire appeared reluctant to overrule calls favoring the home player, even when evidence was obvious. Normally composed, Eala was visibly frustrated at times, approaching the umpire to plead her case with the desperation of someone knowing they were being wronged but powerless to stop it. With no recourse but to play even better, she doubled down on her performance, turning what should have been an already monumental victory into a triumph over both her opponent and an unjust system. Cameras captured Eala shaking her head in disbelief, jaw clenched, eyes flashing with barely contained anger, but true champions turn adversity into fuel. Every questionable call seemed to sharpen her focus, intensify her determination, and make her game even more dangerous. She channeled that frustration into every shot, hitting with a ferocity that declared, "You can cheat me out of points, but you cannot cheat me out of this victory." Eala aimed deeper, hit harder, and left no room for interpretation, forcing winners that even the most biased officials couldn't deny. Despite the hostile environment, the dubious officiating, and a crowd desperate to see her fail, Eala played some of the finest tennis of her life when it mattered most, proving that greatness cannot be suppressed by external factors. The 6-1, 6-2 scoreline spoke volumes. It wasn't close. It wasn't merely competitive. It was a statement victory that would echo through history. And how did Eala respond to the Thai Tennis Association president's insulting comments? She did not rant on social media, demand an official apology, or hold a tearful press conference. Instead, she chose the far more powerful path, responding with grace, dignity, and class that made her detractor appear small, petty, and utterly irrelevant in the face of true excellence. She let her tennis do the talking, allowing the magnitude of her achievement to serve as a powerful rebuttal to his nonsense. By refusing to descend into a war of words and taking the high road when she had every right to lash out, Eala demonstrated a maturity and wisdom far beyond her years. It was a masterclass in handling disrespect. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. By maintaining her composure and refusing to give the controversy any oxygen, she forced the world to focus on what truly mattered: her historic victory. The contrast was stark. On one side, a bitter, defeated official attacking a young woman's nationality. On the other, a 20-year-old champion displaying more class and dignity than someone 3 times her age. The world noticed, the tennis community noticed, and Porciacorum, the man who thought he could put Eala in her place, was thoroughly embarrassed, exposed as a sore loser incapable of handling defeat gracefully. It was a victory not just for the Philippines, but for every athlete ever looked down upon because of where they come from, for every kid from a poor country who dared to dream big, refusing to accept that their zip code should define their destiny. Eala's triumph and her dignified response to the insult became a symbol of something much larger than tennis. It turned into a rallying cry for anyone ever told they don't belong, aren't good enough, or should know their place. But just as the dust seemed to be settling and the news cycle moving on, a second scandal erupted, one far darker and more disturbing than the tennis politics, sending shockwaves through the corporate sponsorship world and raising serious questions about how female athletes are treated behind the scenes of promotional events. Modern professional tennis isn't just about sport. It's about brands, image, sponsorships, and money. Athletes like Eala attend promotional events, pose for photos, smile for cameras, and represent the companies that pay them obligations most accept as the price of success. But when does a promotional duty cross the line into something more sinister? According to breaking reports, Eala recently attended a mandatory Emirates promotional event, the luxury airline that sponsors top tournaments and maintains ties with elite players. What should have been a routine, glamorous engagement, champagne, canapes, networking with VIPs, photos, and small talk with executives hoping to be associated with rising stars has now become the center of a developing scandal that is threatening to engulf one of the world's most prestigious airline brands. What should have been a standard, routine promotional evening took a shocking turn. according to multiple witnesses and Eala's own public revelation. Eala disclosed in a viral statement that she was asked to pose for photos with VIP guests, men in expensive suits who appeared to be executives or major clients of Emirates, part of her role as a brand ambassador. But the situation escalated from routine to completely unacceptable. An elderly man, identified as a high-ranking representative or major stakeholder, allegedly began standing too close, invading her personal space deliberately, making her visibly tense while she maintained a professional smile for the cameras. According to Eala, the behavior escalated to inappropriate physical contact, with hands lingering in places they had no business being, and touches that lasted too long to be innocent mistakes. On top of this came verbal harassment. The man allegedly whispered propositions about deeper cooperation beyond tennis, suggesting private meetings and special opportunities that would be mutually beneficial. This was a predatory abuse of power, exploiting the fact that young athletes are expected to remain gracious and compliant no matter how uncomfortable the situation. He was counting on her silence, assuming she wouldn't risk upsetting sponsorships or her reputation. He bet wrong. Alexandrum Go Eala, a warrior who has already overcome hostile crowds, biased officials, and international disrespect, refused to be pushed around. She didn't freeze, laugh nervously, or wait to discuss it later with her management. She exploded, confronting behavior that was absolutely unacceptable with the same courage and determination she shows on the court. Multiple eyewitnesses confirmed that Eala physically pushed the man away and, in a voice loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, declared, "I am not your object of amusement. Emirates, I refuse. I will never fly with you again." The room fell silent, champagne glasses stopped clinking, and fake smiles vanished from shocked faces. Security personnel moved swiftly toward the commotion, while Eala, without waiting for explanations or apologies, turned on her heel and stormed out, leaving a stunned room of VIPs and executives behind. She could have followed the traditional, safe route, filing a quiet complaint, handling it through lawyers, signing an NDA for a financial settlement, and moving on, but Eala chose a different path. She went public, posting a detailed account on her social media platforms, naming Emirates and making it clear she would not tolerate being treated as an object for the amusement of wealthy men. The reaction was immediate and explosive. #BoycottEmirates trended worldwide, as millions of fans, disgusted by the treatment of the young star and inspired by her courage, took action. Videos surfaced of people cutting up Emirates' frequent flyer cards, screenshots of cancelled bookings circulated with captions like, "Not a single dollar more to harassers," and the movement gained real financial consequences. Reports indicate Emirates stock dropped approximately 3% in a single trading session, millions of dollars lost in market capitalization, a catastrophic signal in the corporate world that the brand had been seriously damaged, consumer confidence shaken, and that recovery would require substantial changes in leadership and policy. The relentless negative publicity eventually forced Emirates' top leadership to respond, but this was no typical corporate damage control statement. Instead of a vague PR announcement about taking allegations seriously and conducting an internal investigation, Emirates chairman Sheikh Ahmed bin Saad Al Maktoum personally intervened, reportedly shocked both by the allegations and the scale of the public backlash. The resulting statement was direct, personal, and deeply apologetic. The chairman issued a heartfelt, unambiguous apology to Alexandrum Go Eala, condemning the alleged behavior of the representative in the strongest terms, promising full accountability, and outlining plans for a comprehensive review of all protocols governing interactions between corporate representatives and athlete ambassadors, especially young female athletes. The tone was raw and contrite, devoid of the typical lawyer-crafted corporate language designed to limit liability, leaving observers genuinely impressed. According to reports, when Eala was shown the statement, she was moved to tears, not of sadness or trauma, but of relief and vindication, seeing that her courage in speaking out had forced meaningful action at the highest levels. Ella's tears were a moment of profound validation, acknowledgement from the highest level that what happened to her was wrong, that she was right to speak out, that her voice mattered, and that she had the power to force change even against a billion-dollar multinational corporation. It was proof that courage can win, that speaking truth to power isn't always career suicide, and that sometimes the system responds when confronted publicly. Stepping back, these two incidents in close succession reveal something essential about who Alexandrum Go Eala is and what she represents. She is not just a talented tennis player from the Philippines. She is a disruptor, a barrier breaker, someone who challenges the established order simply by existing and succeeding at the highest levels, which also makes her a target. By age 20, she had already broken into the WTA top 50, stunned the tennis world at the 2025 Miami Open by defeating established stars including former Grand Slam champion Jelena Ostapenko, and even toppled the world number 1, Ig Swiatek, before falling to Jessica Pegula in the semi-finals. Eala has shown the world that coming from a poor country does not limit one's character, spirit, or dignity. Self-respect cannot be bought, and courage cannot be compromised. She has demonstrated that sometimes the bravest act is refusing to accept unacceptable treatment, even when silence would be safer, easier, or more profitable. As this situation continues to evolve, we are monitoring efforts to confirm the identity of the Emirates representative, watching for any response from the Tennis Association of Thailand, tracking the financial impact of the boycott on Emirates, and following every step of Alex Eala's journey at upcoming tournaments, where she will undoubtedly continue to prove that talent, integrity, and courage know no boundaries. Alex Eala continues to make history and inspire millions around the world. But the questions this saga raises go far beyond tennis. Was the Thai Tennis Association president's comment a simple misunderstanding, lost in translation, or was it exactly what it appeared to be, a display of bitter jealousy from someone who couldn't handle seeing the home country lose to a young player from a poor nation? Regarding the Emirates scandal, is the chairman's apology sufficient, or should the boycott continue until there are visible, concrete consequences for the individual involved? Should heads roll? Should there be independent investigations? Should other sponsors and tournaments take note and reform their policies before they become the next cautionary tale? This is bigger than sport. It's about respect, dignity, accountability, and whether society is finally ready to stop tolerating the mistreatment of young female athletes by powerful men who assume wealth and position make them untouchable. If you stand with Eala, if you believe in holding people accountable regardless of status, and if you want fearless, unfiltered reporting that exposes the truth behind professional tennis's glamorous facade, then your support matters. Engage, speak up, and demand better for athletes everywhere because this story is far from over, and the world will be watching as Alexandrum Eala continues to challenge the status quo, rewrite history, and show that courage, integrity, and talent can never be silenced.